Welcome, friends. Today we'll be exploring one of our deepest, most important muscles, the psoas. The psoas helps to stabilize our spine, influencing our posture and range of movement. It's one of our deepest, biggest muscles in our core. It connects our upper body to our lower body and these muscles control our ability to move, running, jumping, swimming, walking. They support our internal organs and affect organ functioning. And they connect with our diaphragm, affecting how we breathe and our sense of being grounded. So these muscles attach at T12 and continue attaching down the lumbar spine. They attach in front of the spine. And then they weave behind our organs like our intestines and our stomach. And then they come out in front of the top of our thighs, wrapping around and attaching to the lesser trochanter, which is a tiny bony knob on the inside of our femur bones. In this practice, we're going to do some yoga poses to help stretch and strengthen your psoas, which is so important to feeling good and not having any back pain. We'll be doing a variety of quad stretches, gentle back bends, some nice balancing poses, and we'll be working on those, being able to pull our thighs up to our ribs to strengthen our core. So grab your mats and let's begin. We'll start on our backs for a bridge pose. So place your feet close to your hips, and as you inhale, lift your hips up high, pressing your feet into the ground and squeezing your knees toward each other. As you exhale, slowly lower your hips and your arms down. Try and get your feet as close to your hips as possible. Let the inhale bring you up. When you squeeze your knees together, you should feel the glutes fire, and if you isometrically drag your heels towards your hips or your shoulders, you'll feel the hamstrings engage. Keep moving, lifting your hips up with the in-breath and lowering them down with the out-breath, feeling the activation of the glutes and the core and the quads and hamstrings. So one of the most important things is to be able to move with your breath. The breath lead the way. And really feel your range of movement. Feel where your edge is. Feel the muscles engaging as they lengthen and strengthen. So we'll do one more. Pressing down through the feet, hugging the knees in, isometrically dragging your heels toward your shoulders. And on your exhale, lower down one vertebrae at a time. Hips lowering down last. So now take a block or two and place it right directly under your sacrum, that triangular shaped bone, just below your waist, and stretch out one leg at a time. This is going to be a gentle stretch for your quads. Now if you have any low back pain, you can bring your feet back in, tilt your pelvis so that your tailbone reaches more towards your heels and you get a little more space in your low back, and stretch your legs out again. You can always do one leg at a time if doing two legs feels like too much for you at this point. Just let yourself relax and feel that gentle opening on the front of your quads and into the hip flexors, right where the hips and the quads meet. And then you can bring one knee into your chest. You can start with your right knee and hug your knee into your chest. Maybe let your left leg float off the ground and stretch between your right knee and your left toes. Release your knee, interlace your fingers on the back of your thigh, coming into a bit of a hamstring stretch, and still stretching out through the inner thighs of both legs. You can release your right leg, lower it down, and just take a moment to feel the difference between your two sides, just after this very short, simple pose here. And bring the left knee up, hug your knee into your chest, your right leg hover above the ground, and really reach out between your left knee and your right toes. Breathe. Always remember to breathe. Always come back to the breath. Then you can release your hands, hold the back of your left thigh, pushing your thigh into your hands, resisting with the hands to engage the muscles. And just gently getting into a little bit of a hamstring stretch as maybe you let the right leg hover above the ground. Release your leg down again, and again relax, feel the difference. And bend your knees, bring your feet up in the air, balanced over your hips, just for a few breaths to feel that gentle inversion, energy going into your hips. You could flex and point your toes if you would like, or just stay still. Move around here in any way you want. Bring your feet back down, lift your hips, move the blocks out of the way, off to the side, and slowly lower your back down. Stretch your legs out straight. And again, notice how you feel. And hug your knees back into your chest. Rock up onto your hands and knees. And stretch your hips back into child's pose. So try and let your hips rest on your heels. Stretch your arms forward, feeling a nice stretch from your low back all the way up through your back, into your shoulders, your arms, and down into your hands. Really letting go, focusing on the exhale. Then tuck your toes, lift your hips up, downward facing dog. Remember to keep active through your hands, pushing your hands down and forward to glide your hips up and back. Keep the ribs nice and lifted. And then just little pulses, or however you want to warm up in your down dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up. And then exhale, open the top hip, bend your knee, reach your leg way behind you, reach your right foot way behind you. Feeling a stretch on the front, the top hip flexor. Maybe bend and straighten your leg. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching. And then pivot your hips forward, hug your knee into your chest, and step your foot all the way forward, coming into a lunge. Lower your back knee to the floor. Bring both hands to the top of your right thigh, and then reach your left arm up and across. Feeling a nice deep stretch in the hips and the psoas muscle. If you want, you can reach your right arm behind you, clasp your left fingers, keeping that stretch over to the side, and then bring your left arm all the way across, coming into a prayer twist. Release your hands, reach your arms up, open up through your chest, and step back, downward facing dog. Think of down dog as a neutralizing pose to lengthen the spine. And inhale, reach your left leg up. Again, bend your knee, stack the hips, reach your foot way behind you, stretching the quads, stretching the hip flexors. You can bend and straighten your leg. Keep reaching back. Then come back to neutral. Hug your knee into your chest and slowly step your left foot forward to your hands. Lower the right knee down this time. Place both hands on your left thigh and reach your right arm up and over to the left. If you want, you can bend your right elbow, reach back with your left hand, clasp your fingers together. Keep stretching over to the left. And release your hands, bring your right elbow across for a prayer twist. And inhale, reach the arms up, stretching that back inner thigh, back quad, and step back, downward facing dog. Give yourself time to get a nice long stretch, and then inhale, bring the right leg up. Step it all the way forward for your lunge. Lower your left knee down again. And this time, bend your left knee, reach back with both hands, or just with one hand for your left foot. And gently pull your heel in towards your hip, and then let it release back. This is a pretty intense quad stretch. I like to be just a little bit above my kneecap, so I'm not directly on the kneecap, I'm on the front of the thigh. You could use a block under your hand, or you could bring your arm forward up in the air. And lift your hips up, straightening the front leg, getting a little bit of a hamstring stretch, and step back, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, step it all the way forward for your lunge. Lower your right knee down, back knee down. Bend your right knee, reach back with your hands. for your right foot and gently push your foot into your hands. And against that resistance, draw your heel in towards your hip. You can use one hand or both. You can reach your left arm up or forward. And releasing your foot, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, step your foot all the way forward for your lunge. Lower your back knee down. Bend your back knee, and this time reach back with your right hand for your left foot. So you're in a little bit of a back bend, a twist, and a quad stretch. And again, just gently pulse, bringing your heel towards your hip, and then releasing it. Always keeping some activation of your muscles so you don't overstretch anything. And release your foot, and step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment here to pedal out your feet or whatever you want to do. And then inhale, reach your left leg up. Exhale, step it all the way forward. Lower your right knee down. Bend your right knee, reach back with your left hand for your right foot. Again, going into this back bend, quad stretch, twisting pose. And gently pull your heel in towards your hip and then let it release. So that we're never overtaxing our nervous system, we're never overdoing it. We're just guiding our way into however deep we can go today for our stretch. And step back, downward facing dog. Look towards your hands, bend your knees and lightly hop forward or step forward, coming into a forward fold and into a squat malasana. So let your hips dangle towards the earth. And just take a moment to rock around a little bit. Malasana is so good for you in so many different ways. Just a simple squat, getting up and down from the ground. And lower your hips all the way down. Spread your legs apart. Take your blocks and place one on the inside of each ankle on the lowest height. So here we're going to strengthen the psoas by lifting our leg up and over the block. So lean forward a little bit and lift one leg up and then the other leg up and go back and forth. If you stay leaning forward like you see me doing, it will be quite challenging. The further forward you lean, the more challenging it is. And then we'll just do a little stretch between the thighs. So just take your time. You may not get very close to the ground, and that's fine. For a little more challenge, raise the height of the blocks. And again, we'll lift one leg back and forth over the block. Really working those quads, we're working the psoas. Then switch to the other leg. And see if you can do both legs at a time. That's pretty hard for me. Lean forward again, reach forward, stretching the inner thighs, keeping the legs active as you stretch forward. Walk your hands back. Then we're gonna lean forward, lift our hips off the ground. Hold here for a couple of breaths, flex your feet, and lower down. So again, lean forward, press down. Maybe a little rocking to get those hips up. Try and hold them up. Maybe try and lift your feet off the floor. It's a little bit harder for me here because there's a downward slope. And bring the soles of your feet together, holding onto your feet, stretching your hips forward in Baddha Konasana. And again, just a gentle pulse and release. Never really going too far, too fast, or staying there too long. Just finding the place where it feels like a good stretch, but not too much. Then we're gonna come up back into downward facing dog. And take your time here, stretching out the spine. Bring your knees to the floor. And we'll do camel pose, focusing on, well, actually first we're gonna do a prep for camel. So bring your right hand back to your right heel, reach your left arm kind of back and across at a diagonal, and then switch sides. Pressing your thighs forward to get that little extra stretch of the psoas. And then for camel pose, you want to remember to lift up through the ribs. So you can take your hands and encourage that rib lift. You could stay with your hands on your ribs, or you could reach your hands back to your heels, lifting up through your heart, pressing a little bit more forward through your thighs just to get into the psoas for this variation of camel. And then come back into your down dog. And just taking some time to bend your knees, just to feel out all the different nuances that you can play with in your down dog, the hamstrings, the back, the arms, the hands, the feet, the calves, the ankles. Down dog is one of my favorite poses. It's nice to sometimes spend a little time there. So come forward to plank. Lower through chaturanga and lower the hips, coming into cobra. Pressing down through the feet, lifting up through your heart, squeezing the shoulder blades together and squeezing the shoulders down your back. Lower down, reach back, bend your left knee, reach your left hand towards your left foot. Lift your chest and then switch sides. So press your foot back, lift your leg up. Again, really getting into the quads and the hip flexors, getting into the psoas. And then we'll go back to the first side. Again, maybe you can get a little bit higher, maybe not. Inhale, curl up into your cobra. And stretch back, downward facing dog. Lower your knees down. We'll do this pose or reaching the opposite arm to the opposite leg. So reach your right hand back to your left foot, kick your foot back, reach your foot up in the air, leg up in the air, and switch sides, left hand to the right foot. Kick your foot back, creating a nice opening space between your arms and your thighs and your back. Now we'll try the same side. A little bit trickier balance. So grab the left foot with your left hand, reach your arm and leg up. Stretching that back quad, psoas on your left side, and then we'll do the same thing on the right side. Reach back for your foot. Lift up and back. Maybe you lose your balance, but just go for it again. Find your balance. Try again. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And trying to be perfect is just an exercise in frustration. So walk your feet a little bit forward. So we're in like a really kind of long forward fold. And we'll do that same pose, but in standing. So you can always come back to your knees, or you can try it standing. You really have to use your core to provide stability. Remember to kick your foot back into your hand and find that resistance to help you to open up. And we'll switch sides. Take it slow, just finding your balance, finding as much opening as you can in your hip and shoulder. And release your hand, lower your foot, come back into your squat. Lower down on your hips. We'll just do a gentle forward fold over the legs. And just let yourself relax here. Again, not forcing anything, but rather enjoying the stretch. And take your right hand, hold the outside of your left foot, stretch your leg forward and your arm back. And switch sides. Left arm to right foot, reaching the right arm back. Come forward again. We'll come onto our backs and just gentle rocking back and forth, massaging the back, trying to keep the back as round as possible. We're going to rock up into boat pose. So find your balance here. Keep pulling your legs to your ribs to your legs. It's like we did in that wide-legged seated pose where we're lifting our feet over, our legs over the block. You can always bend your knees, or you could hold the back of your thighs, or you could keep your arms forward and your legs straight. You can stay there, or if you want, maybe grab your feet, stretch back through your back and forward through your legs. And lower onto your back again, a little gentle rocking back and forth, coming back up into your Navasana. And slowly lower down, hug your knees into your chest. Lower your feet to the floor and gently and slowly rock your legs, your knees from side to side. It's a nice, relaxing, slow motion. You can always stay on one side if you like. That'll stretch the top quad, the top hip flexor. So if your knees are to the right, it's going to stretch your left quad. Bring your legs back in and twist to the other side. So you can reach out through that back knee. So if your knees are twisted to the left, reach out through the right knee. Hug your belly towards your spine. And then bring both legs up, and we'll do a twist with both knees together. So twist to your right, turn your head to the left. So your whole back relax. Relax into the twist. Let yourself soften. Winding down for Savasana. Inhale back up and exhale, twist to your left, head to the right, eyes closed. Being patient with your body wherever it's at. Just bringing a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation. And hug your knees into your chest, and we'll come into Happy Baby. Gently rock from side to side, trying to keep your hips and your shoulders down. And hug your knees into your chest, tighten up into a little ball, and stretch out into your Savasana. Just letting yourself completely relax. Your whole back relax toward the floor, your whole body just soften and let go. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. Subscribe. Namaste. Lots of love to everyone.